Yes.
I thought that was interesting.
The
Technology.
pagers.
Oh, yeah.
Technology's way above my end.
Go back to hand and arm signals pretty soon.
Yeah.
So yesterday it was Ager. Today it was Talkie Talkies.
Oh, I hadn't heard the walkie-talkie.
I'm like,
Oh,
I don't know. Interesting.
same technology.
I mean, is it the batteries that are blowing up, or is there
Yeah,
actual?
yeah.
Explosive.
They put explosives in the
They had
battery, and when
explosives in them?
when it heats up to a certain temp, that's when they explode. And,
So they
apparently that was manipulated in some way.
say, yeah, so they added the explosive at the time of manufacturing.
Yeah, 5 months ago is when they arrived for the people to use, the Hezbollah or whoever it is. So that time.
Hi.
Bone pine was a little beat up, and we bladed it since. Fine. So, no, we're good.
Okay.
Morning.
Buddy.
How are you?
I'm good.
Later on today, after court, can you give me a call and let me know where you're at on that other issue we spoke about last week? Thank you.
What do I need to have that? I'm from the sign this. You can't have it till I scan it though. Yeah. Okay. I keep having that kid still listening like, okay, I need this. I got you.
Doug, how the school year started off? Good.
Yeah, if you look at the sports, it's real. Depends on which way you look at it.
Right. Yes, you may come in. Good morning.
Few more minutes.
No problem.
Dan is out sick. We just can't make it, but Angie said she would be here. So.
That she would. The owl.
Yeah, that one.
Oh, gross.
When you talk, you will be seen.
Yes.
Don't move or don't talk. Should let me back towards and higher waisted pants.
I know Joe Madden. From John. I got a call from him. I returned his call and he didn't say the nature of his call.
The name sounds familiar, but I
I think
can't.
he's in some kind of construction industry. And I haven't heard anything from Rick lately, talking, how's it going?
Good,
Okay,
good. Good, and
I just,
I
in
think
case it
there's
has anything to do with any of that, I'm just.
another county that's wanting to sign on with us.
Oh, really?
We're discussing it. I don't want to get overloaded.
Right, no.
Well, good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, September 18th, 2024. Welcome to County Court. If you'd please stand and join me for Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. Any late items for the agenda?
No,
None? So then we shall go into agenda approval.
I move to approve today's Hardy County Court meeting agenda.
And I'll second. And a motion has been made and seconded. A motion has been made and seconded to approve today's Harney County Court agenda for September 18th, 2024. Also for the record, just to note, Commissioner Shellman is absent today, so we will proceed with a quorum of 2. Any further discussion on the agenda?
No.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Next topic, recognition of service. This one always gives me pleasure and an honor to recognize county employees for their years of service with the county. Not available to attend this morning is Sheriff Dan Jenkins, who has worked for the county for 10 years. And this day, even 5 or 10 years is a lot of devotion and dedication to an organization. So we thank Sheriff Jenkins. Next individual up is Angie Lamborn with 15 years. Thank you. Appreciate that. That's a lot of years of service to the county and the people of Harney County. We appreciate it. And we have a memento, a card.
Thank you.
To say thank you very much for your service. And lastly, we have Lieutenant Lucas McLean with 20 years of service. again, that's, I'm sure in those years, Lieutenant McLean has made an impact and touched a lot of people's lives in the role of public safety. So we thank Lieutenant McLean for his years of service with Harney County.
Thank you, Chief.
Next topic, Senior Center update.
A little right out here. So Senior Center, we wrote for and were awarded performing vehicles for public transportation. So those grants total $596,576. They require a 20% match, which is $119,000. So those 4 vehicles will be ordered next summer, actually, is when the grants actually come into effect, and replace 4 outdated vehicles in the fleet. Just kind of updating everyone that during the Falls Fire, Harney Hub was a Red Cross shelter, and during that time, along with conducting normal business, we had some folks staying with us, wanting to thank the community. Joe Baker made time. We had a community member who needed dialysis, needed a 20-amp plug, which is impossible to find. So Joe made time to come put one in our shop. So that individual was able to get the dialysis that they needed. So that was huge. We wrote with partners for the EOCCO grant, and were awarded $25,000 for another walk-in freezer in the Senior Center. That's going to be really helpful for us in our meal program. We did just receive some generous donations of beef, cattle, beef, pigs, goats, and sheep from the fair. So that will be very helpful. We wrote for grants for emergency equipment, and we were awarded, we asked for 2 things, a generator and a panel truck. We were awarded the panel truck. So we're working with Burns Ford to get that ordered. We've written for $15,000 for the Oregon Health Authority for our meal program. Haven't heard about that one yet. We've been awarded the funding we need to build High Desert Veterans Village. So we're working on the tail end details of that. Hope to be able to break ground. If not this fall, do a little bit of groundwork, then next spring, first thing, start with that project. That's kind of the grants that we've got going on. Then I kind of did a list of some things that in the last year, we've got 25 employees working at Harney Hub right now. One has over 35 years, one over 37, one over 40, one over 20, one over 19, and 2 with 15 years in. So really proud of our staff. They're very committed to the work that we do. We've got 20 volunteers that have donated over 3,200 hours last year. We've got 9 Oregon Project Independence consumers. That's home care for about 40 hours a month. We've helped 1,072 seniors with their Medicare issues. 200 people were helped with the AARP taxes last season. 9,999 home delivered meals were delivered last year. 8,610 on-site meals. 22,545 trips on our buses. At 113,996 hours of bus service last year. We drove 219,003 miles last year. 2,200 households and 4,800 people helped with our food pantry last year. We weatherized 17 houses in the community. 21 houses paid our construction crew for private services. 555 veterans were served. Last year, they received $271,000 in retroactive pay.
And then they were also awarded 23,622 monthly. So every month that much more will come into the community for their benefits. For energy assistance, we serve 377 households at a total of $219,538. We've been working with small businesses in the community. They obtained a grant to provide 300 pounds of pork to our food pantry every month. High Desert Partnership, their garden is just about ready to be harvested. So we're looking forward to that. They said next week. And as I mentioned at the fair, we received 5 goats, 4 beef, 7 swine, and 6 lambs. So very generous community out there for our programs. I won't go down the list, but just for the court's information, just of the funding that we spent last year to different local businesses. Between the services that we provide and the things we need to purchase from them, and then OTEC, like OTEC or CMB Sanitary, what we do for services plus what we do, just because we're in the community. So that's my report.
Angie, I might have been jumping ahead, and on your bullets on page 2, let's see, which is the one I didn't understand. Let me see. That's right. I guess the last one, what does that mean, the 21 houses?
So that's, so we're contractors. So through the weatherization program, we weatherize 17 houses, but private pay individuals, we weatherize 21 houses or did small projects for 21 private pay people.
Okay.
And is that gross income from those?
Yes.
And maybe we should schedule sometime soon the veteran service officer to come give us a detailed brief on how it's going. Sure. Do you know offhand if at the VA level if they're backlogged on processing claims?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be interested in hearing about that. And this is a very good report. Thank you.
Vehicles. Is the replacement vehicle that you'll order next year, is that going to take care of the one that was totaled recently?
Yes, that vehicle actually was set to be replaced. Okay. So.
And I know I hadn't heard anything, and you didn't say anything when you initially told me about that, but everybody was okay in that.
They were, yeah, thankfully.
Just a second. I got a couple more questions. Let me add some people here in the. Sorry, Sue, you probably logged in to hear the report from Angie, and I just now added you to the to the room. Anyway, so there was that question. Your totals, just ballpark. I mean, do they look like those are increasing from year over year? The number of meals, home deliveries, those kind of things, are they increasing? Services picking up?
Well, definitely from the time of COVID, we're starting to get up and learning the new needs of the community. Our home delivered meals have grown higher than our on-site meals, which is just an indication of a community that's maybe a little more aged, a little more firm. That happens occasionally.
Okay. Yeah, and then just happened to be on the radio this morning, the Kelly Frank and the food, what is that program?
Oh, it's the community garden. I know that
community garden, and yeah, it's through High Desert Partnership, and one whatnot, but they were talking about the garden this morning on the radio and how some of those proceeds from that garden will come to the senior center.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's and is that space that's over there just off of, what is it, East Monroe or whatever?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Right. I don't think I had anything else. Yeah, good summary there from the hub.
Did you have anything? Okay,
Thank you very much.
thanks.
Thank you.
Next up is Justice Court update.
So I'm Vicki Clemens, I'm the Justice of the Peace, and I'd like to introduce Riley Richardson, who is the new judge-elect, who will take office in January. And so she's going to present today. We're doing some shadowing and training. And so I'll just let her take it from here. And then if anybody has any questions, then.
So I'm Riley Richardson. I'm currently the clerk in the Justice Court and shadowing under Judge Clemens for when I begin Justice of the Peace in January. In Justice Court, we handle all traffic violations for Harney County, as well as small claim, FED evictions, city ordinance violations, weigh scale violations for our local weigh scale, and most from the Burns Junction weigh scale, and any other violations from the cities in the county. We have an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Burns and Hines to do their judicial services here locally. A little year-to-date cases that we've handled, we've had a total of 992 cases since January 1st. That breaks down to 67 small claims, 8 FED evictions, 28 ordinances, 22 total non-traffic violations, and then a total of 867 traffic violations. I was also able to break that down by agency. So that's 177 from the city of Hines, 152 from the city of Burns, 95 from our sheriff's office, 366 from our state troopers, and 77 violations from our motor carrier weigh scale violations. One of the biggest questions we get in the Justice Court is if we offer traffic diversions or traffic school, which we do not. The state of Oregon's guidelines is that it's a privilege to drive, not a right. And so the state has given the decisions for diversions to be a court by court basis. And we've opted out of that program as there's no way to track how many diversions a person gets or to hold any accountability for the defendant to be a legal and safe driver. However, we do offer what we call a deferred adjudication program. This started about June last year when we really started kicking into that. The deferred adjudication program is a 1-year commitment from the defendant to be a licensed, insured, and safe driver. This is often offered for a first time or first in many years speeding violation, a no insurance violation where the defendant has then taken the steps to get an insurance, or someone who has a driving while suspended ticket who's working towards getting reinstated and to be a legal driver. Our stipulations are that they become a licensed and insured driver, provide monthly insurance documentation for 1 year, and not receive any other violation within that year. It's a monthly check-in with the defendant, and if the defendant completes our deferred adjudication agreement, we dismiss the citation they received to our court. So far, since June of last year, we've offered this agreement to about 48 defendants. We've had about 5 people fail, 15 people succeed, and we have 28 individuals who are currently active in the program. We also offer payment plans to defendants, which can be as little as $5 a month to pay off their violations. This is also a monthly check-in program where if the defendant does not make a payment, they're scheduled an appearance date with the court. The goal in Justice Court is for traffic cases is to have legal license and insured drivers. And if we can help defendants get there, we try to do so. We base any sentences off of for violations from the considerations listed in the Constitution. In the Justice Court, we've also been working on purging a lot of old files, some of which are older than I am. After we get caught up on that, it's going to be an annual process based on retention schedules. But there's a lot of crusty boxes down in the basement. I'm currently looking forward to attending the special court jurisdiction training in Reno, which is scheduled June 1st through the 13th. That's required for all justice of the peaces who are not a bar certified attorney. Judge Clemens stated this is a great training opportunity and also speak highly of all our biannual conferences that occur in Oregon for ongoing training on ORSs and to network with all the other judges in Oregon. So what we've been doing.
What were the dates for your judicial college
It's the 1st through the 13th
of
June.
June? Okay. All right, great. Well, congratulations. Taking over here shortly, about 90 days or so.
Yeah, counting down.
Yeah. If there's anything that the court can do, the county court can do to assist in your transition or along the way, please let us know.
I have a couple things. First of all, you're not that old. Second of all,
There's some dusty piles down there.
second of all, and this for whoever, can you just talk a little bit about the weight scale violations? I mean, you know, I'm assuming the state mans the weight scale since we don't.
So
I mean, what do you?
I think
you
it's
know?
a combination, isn't it?
kind of. So the one in Burns Junction is they're all ODOT motor enforcer employees. That one's manned more than our local weight scale is. I think there's still a program with our sheriff's office. It's kind of been hit or miss if someone from us locally will be manning that, our local weight scale. So that's been in the works, but it's also just an ODOT employee when there are someone there. But it is kind of in the works, I've heard.
Yeah.
Does it bring in much money?
Less now than it used to. Are you talking at the local scale?
Yeah, pretty much.
Commission,
But well,
okay.
if you can talk to the whole thing.
Well, the scale at Burns Junction, they split the tickets because it's Mount County, but you can file them within the closest, the venue is different. So they file half of them in Mount, they file half of them in Burns, and it is a revenue. I mean, they're usually, $440 a pop. But the local scale, we're not seeing a whole lot of revenue there.
Just because it's not open often.
Okay.
The Burns Junction scale hasn't been open often this last
Right.
summer either.
And of course, I realize that the intent is not to raise revenue, although we're interested in that, but it is to, you know, make the weights safe on the roads and to not overburden the maintenance of the roads by being way too heavy or unsafe where drivers and balance and all that happens. But thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I just was always curious as to what's going on with that.
Again, yes, as the main purpose of those functions are safety and road maintenance, not tearing up our state roads, but the citations that come from that and the revenue that comes from that, what are the restrictions on the use for that of those revenues? Is there any? Does it have to stay within that program? And I'm not looking at trying to drag that into county functions, but I'm just saying, like, if we have a deputy that is out there working it, can labor be billed or used? Can those funds be used for labor to staff that facility? I guess
And that was the question that came up when the sheriff's department first decided to do that. And I believe the revenue comes. Well, that would be up to the treasurer because it all goes into what the revenue that would come into justice court is dispersed just like a state revenue at this time. So it's about 50-50.
But I thought we did the split. We were talking if it was a county worker who was manning it, the split code would be different. It would be the same as if it was a county citation, like if a 448 traffic violation, the same split.
okay.
Which the state takes a chunk off of any of them. So
Right.
Yeah, I know there's a divvy, there's a split percentage, whatever, that goes different directions. But yeah, just if that program is ever realized through the sheriff's office and they have a staff member that's available to work out there, if any of those hours worked out there can be compensated through those citations.
Well, however, it's divvied up as far as what the fine share, the county fine share would be, that would be included in that. So revenue would go up. And then however they distribute it over there for hours for labor, however that is, I don't know how that would be, but it would be.
What we found is transit wise, Highway 20 coming through is getting so much more traffic than we've had. And it is, the 2025 state transportation package, listening sessions and all this that's been going on. Anytime 84 has got a fire, an accident, or the icy things, people divert. Plus there's just more for whatever reason. And so I would just, if that weight scale can be utilized both for safety and for revenue, because we've got a lot more trucks coming through. We've got a lot more things coming through. It might be a time for us to look at that more consistently.
Yeah. Thank you. What's something more we can look into anyway? And
Yeah. There aren't very many counties that man them locally.
Yeah.
So that was kind of part of what
and I know that some of the agriculture producers, have said, truckers may just avoid ways to avoid it. That's their business as far as I'm concerned. I mean, if that's how they do business,
they might get stuck on Greenhouse Lane like they do oftentimes.
It's just something for us to think about because every dollar counts, right, man?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Anything else?
Thank you.
All right, we have some minutes to catch up on here. Our last county court session from September 3rd minutes, and then we have some other minutes that never got approved in past sessions throughout the year. Executive Assistant York has been going through and kind of making sure that all of our documentation and archives are up to date and whatnot. And we found some minutes, some other documents, resolutions that were executed, but we didn't get a copy of it into the archives. And so we had to do some searching for those documents. And I would say this is probably about the tail end of the stuff that we need to fix. So that's why we have several different minutes on here from different occasions for approval.
And I did take the time to go ahead and look them up and read them, and they all look good to me. So
same here. So we'll do individually minutes from County Court Session September 3rd, 2024.
Move to approve.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded to approve County Court Session minutes from September 3rd, 2024. Any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? And hearing none, motion carries. The next one is from Declaration of Local Disaster Emergency Session, the one we had on a Saturday or a Sunday.
I think you and Commissioner Shellman on a Sunday.
What was the 14th of July?
This is Sunday.
Sunday. Okay. And so we came in and we did that emergency session to execute the declaration, got that all done. So it was real short and sweet, nothing else to that. I'll make a motion to approve minutes from emergency session on July 14th, 2024, in declaration of local disaster.
I second.
The motion's been made and seconded to approve minutes from July 14th, 2024. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? And hearing none, motion carries. The next minutes are from all the way back in February 14th, 2024, a public meeting that we had. Do you know what the topic of that one was? Did you?
It's before my time.
Okay. So anyway, and I know off the top of my head, I don't remember what it was, but again, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from public meeting February 14th, 2024.
A second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve minutes from public meeting on February 14th, 2024. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And hearing none, motion carries. And lastly, our work session from January 26th, 2024.
I recall that one was to discuss the role of the budget officer prior to your appointment as budget officer. And I move to approve the Harney County Court work session minutes for January 26, 2024.
And a second. And the motion's been made and seconded to approve work session minutes, County Court work session minutes from January 26, 2024. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? And hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you, Holly, for getting us all squared away on things that sometimes slip through the cracks.
Tammy's been helping me, so shout out to her.
Shout out to Tammy as well.
All right, and that takes us to opportunity for public comment. Anybody in the room wish to address the court? Please stand and state your name. Go ahead.
Barbara Kennedy. I know that the city was leasing their property next to the fairgrounds when everybody had to move to make room for the fair. So it only makes sense that the fairgrounds made a lot of rent from all these fire crews. So I'd like to know, would supplement quite a bit their goals. I'd like to know how much they made off of the fire encampments.
And I just had this conversation with the fair manager and asked that same question because I had heard a couple of different figures and wanted to clarify. And she confirmed that it was $2,500 a day for the term of the incident management team being there. So, and I don't know how many days, I don't know the full from exact date to exact date, but I'm going to say what they were there for 60,
at least
70 days.
Yeah,
something like that.
very good.
Any other public comments?
Rick Paul, SEAC, was going through their occupation or their documents and found out that I'm probably extended beyond my term. They have a 3-year term and they're appointed in November. I'm pretty sure I've done it now 4 years without a reappointment. Also noticed that the county or the chair of the organization changes every 3 years, and I don't believe that has occurred. And that would put you in the position of being chair. And when I was over in Ontario, when Patty and I were there at different times, I picked up their 6 pages of propaganda, and on one of their pages of propaganda, it notes that when Highway 84 is closed, there is no safe highway through Eastern Oregon. They are admitting 20 is not safe.
Okay, that's good to know in their own documentation. And yes, I had addressed the topic of term on the co-chair. When I first took office, I was told that I was a co-chair with Judge Joyce out of Malheur County. And here recently I asked what the terms were there and if it was always, if it rotated every year or whatever. So I believe I've got about another year on little over a year on my co-chair status.
So
he was co-chair. It's a 3-year term. You've been there 2 years.
How many?
He was there a year.
Well, how many counties are in the SEAC?
3.
Just which 3?
Us, Mount and Grant.
Yeah.
Okay. And we usually fill it with county judge and a citizen.
Are you appointed by the court or by SEAC itself?
Appointed by the court, confirmed by SEAC.
Okay.
And my position is alternate, not at large. So if anybody isn't there, I'm in.
So we need to recruit 4, or if Mr. Paul would like to apply to be reappointed.
I'll do that.
We'll reach out for that though.
Because we're coming up to a meeting next week.
Yeah.
In John Bay. So
Next.
probably should be some other discussions if you read the organizational stuff.
So question, they tend to rotate the locations between the 3 counties, is that
Yes,
correct? And do they also have a Zoom option as needed?
Yeah, because not everybody attends the designated location. Like I say, next week it's in John Day.
Yep.
And there will be people from Malheur County and other ODOT employees, whatnot, that won't make it in person, so they do attend virtually.
And our November meeting is in Ontario, which is iffy.
Yeah.
And I think we got skipped because of the
Fires?
Joint meeting.
The joint meeting, yeah.
That was terrible.
I think Baker's included in there too. They used to come to the meetings.
Baker's in NORAC, the Northern Group.
Yeah.
Enjoy their planners.
So, all right. Thank you, sir, for bringing that to our attention. Now we'll reach out to SEAC and see about terms and appointments, and if we need to recruit somebody, or put the feelers out there, see if we have interested parties.
Right now, it's basically you and I,
Yeah.
and Judy, but for our 6 appointments, or 7, to 3 of us.
And then, new city manager for Hines. So,
It's not. You need to read the bylaws. It's not an automatic appointment for you
okay.
or that person.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get into it.
It's a city's 2 representatives. Judy should be representing both.
Yeah,
Today's her first day.
read up on it.
Yeah.
You get it right.
Right. Any other public comment? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Susan Ramsey, and I have, for reasons that don't get explained, I've been traveling a lot to Idaho using Highway 20 and Highway 78 coming back. There is a large number of trucks on the road at night when there's not so much vehicle traffic. It's a lot easier on them. And the station at the Burns Junction is not manned. I don't know where their appointee or delegate is. Do they come from wherever? Because there's not really a lot of population to draw from. But there is a lot of revenue being missed by nobody manning those stations in the evening hours. And a lot of times I will agree, they're even closed during the day. And I'm not sure, again, if it's a location and personnel to man it, but if we're making revenue, I would like to see it manned more.
Yeah. We'll have to ask during the SEAC meeting next week exactly where that individual comes from, in Jordan Valley, Vale, Ontario. I don't know.
It's a long drive, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they live there.
So what?
There's a residence there, and I know there is some references in the SEAC junk about a person living in that area.
Really?
Yeah. All right, we'll have to ask and find out for sure. Any other comments? All right, so we shall move on to old business. First topic up is the ODOT standards for accessible parking spaces, handicap spaces, and facility maintenance manager Chad Angel has been working on this topic.
Yes. So I moved away from the ODOT part of it because it's not part of the highway system. But I got in contact with the Northwest ADA Center. They sent me a 30-page checklist to go through. And we did quite well, other than the back parking lot and entry is very rough and uneven. So anyone with walkers or canes or wheelchairs have a really hard time getting in and out of their vehicle. And some have recently complained that the way they have to unload from their vehicle, they get out on the street, which is even more unsafe. So we'll be discussing with the road department or somebody to see if we can change that setup a little better, asphalt wise.
Are you going to consider putting in a handicap space here in this parking lot right here?
No, I hadn't, and I don't see the feasibility of it. The statutes do say that a county we're satisfactorily accessible right now, but it does say that the county doesn't have to, an entity doesn't have to, what's the word I'm looking for, financially, if it's a big financial burden, and it would be a financial burden out here to try and rework some kind of access. As it is right now, if somebody parks in the backside of the courthouse here, they would have to go all the way around the sheriff's office to come up the ramp. The way it's laid out here with the Sally Port for the sheriff's office for the jail, number one, I don't think it would be real safe having people have to transit potentially across that opening if and when the gates might be open for a law enforcement vehicle to come in to the Sally Port there. And the other option there to try and make that even the back door accessible from that area, right underneath the stairs right there is the stairs that go down to the basement.
Yeah.
And to put some kind of a ramp or a lift or anything there would just not be
No,
practical.
that's one of the few exits from the basement level that we have to flee.
Yeah. So I, based on what we have right now, we're in compliance. It's just a matter of making things a little bit easier for people to navigate.
Yeah, bare minimum, fill in some holes, grind some concrete down to slope it better, but.
And yeah, and striping, marking, I think our signage out there is.
It's gonna be signage.
Yeah.
Thank you for looking into that, and getting us more detailed answers.
Yeah.
Road department, when you guys do paving projects in the summertime, I know we talked about this the other day, cold mix, you're using cold mix.
Mm-hmm.
I don't exactly know the difference between cold mix and hot mix, but if that portion of our parking area out there needs to be resurfaced, could you do that potentially in conjunction with a paving project?
I've always avoided it just because of the confined space. There's a difference between highway paving and parking lot paving. And there's contractors that do that. They have a small paver, they can maneuver around obstacles and tight spots. We have a relatively big paver, and to try to do that in a confined space is just, it's like you were saying, just not feasible. It's hard for us to do that. It would have to be hot mix. Cold mix is something you lay down and then you chip seal over the top of it just because it's so open graded. And it's not a smooth surface like hot mix would be. So, and we don't make hot mix. So.
Okay, so we'll have to look into those options. Thank you. Anything else?
That's it from me.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hi there. I'm online and I didn't hear when it's our time to speak. Is it, did I miss my opportunity or?
Oh, you know what? I did. I bypassed the people online for public comment. So
Yeah.
we'll go to online. And is there anybody online with public comment? Please state your name.
My name is Kelly Cox and my husband is David Cox, and we own property on Arthur, and we've attended before, and we're just asking about if anything has been done about the squatters that are on that road, on that street.
Letters have been sent out. The landowners have been contacted. Some of them didn't know that they had issues on their properties, and they're aware of it now, and are working with the sheriff's office for those potential people that may be trespassing even. And we're working through our other ordinances as far as the nuisance ordinance and looking at the properties as themselves. It's a process that takes a little bit of time, but we are engaged in it.
Okay, I just wanted an update. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry for skipping you.
That's okay.
Anyone else online for public comment? All right, so not hearing any, we'll move on. Next topic under old business, amending Trout Creek Ranch mineral deed. So when we vacated the mineral rights on some property that had been tax foreclosure and then purchased by the Trout Creek Ranch, the property description was in error, so we did an amendment and amended it. So all things are the same. We just amended the proper legal description and need to re-execute this deed. Any questions?
I'm reading the verbiage on the final signature page. And let me see if I get this right. It says the true consideration for this conveyance for all 5 properties totals $750. This instrument will not all the use of the property described in this instrument. What is it trying to say here?
Yeah, this instrument will not
make sense.
Blank all the use of the property described in this instrument. I don't know. Are we missing?
I got this from Darren. County Clerk.
From the clerk's office.
Can it be kicked to, is he here today?
I can go grab them if you'd like, or you can tell me and I can change.
Yeah, ask, if you could ask him about that.
Yeah.
And if we can make a quick, we'll move on, and if we can make a quick edit, then we'll get to it. And Polly, we get behind in notes, so we'll hold for just a minute.
Can I ask a very simple question? Has the number of people attending by calling in, or has that increased?
It goes up and down. There's two people on here today from, and we'll get to it in a little bit, but there's two people on here today from Motorola Corporation, because we're looking at a contract for the new software and package and system for 911 dispatch. So those two people are related to that. You have Mr. Frank on here, the commissioner-elect. Right. So it goes up and down. It just kind of, sometimes it depends on what our agendas items are, and who's interested. Yeah. Clerk Robinson.
Do you have a question about this statement, the instrument?
Yeah, would you read that statement?
Yes,
and
this
how
instrument will not allow use of the property described in this instrument in violation of applicable land use laws and regulations.
So that should say all, or allow instead
say
of
allow
all.
Instead of all the.
Oh yeah, there is that's an on. This instrument will not allow use of the property. That's what the letter should be.
Okay. Can we ink change that, or can we print a new page real quick?
Yeah, just print a new page real quick.
Okay. Do you have that in your?
Yep, and I'm doing that right now. It's printing.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I do. See that. And that language is required by statute. That's why I did it.
Thank you.
No problem.
So I don't know if we need to make a move.
Let's look at this. Dated this day. Okay, well,
I don't have it.
did acknowledge that they executed the within instrument. I guess that's okay. It's weird. Within instrument for the uses and purposes meant. Yeah, correct that dated sentence. No.
Down here.
Yeah, read it out loud.
Dated this blank day of September. Before me appeared Bill Hart, Patty Doro, Kristen Shellman, Judge and Commissioners of Harney County Court, did acknowledge that they executed the within instrument for the uses
and
purposes.
It doesn't say and, it says.
Yeah, it's missing an and.
Okay, correct that please to and. And
anything else for I correct?
Yeah, probably take Kristen's name off since she's not here today. Or you can leave it, but.
Yeah, and I can just write absent on the document.
Yeah, put and. It's just these little things, so. Maybe that was uploaded in the packet early, but I didn't see it a couple days ago. It might have been a late upload.
Yeah, I don't know when it got added to the agenda package. All right. With those changes made, I don't know if we need to make a motion or if we just need to sign. But I guess we can do it officially. I'll make a motion to accept the corrected mineral deed re-recorded to correct legal description and vesting in deed recorded instrument number 2024-0642 Harney County Clerk's Records.
A second?
Motion's been made and seconded to accept and execute a correction mineral deed as mentioned. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Dated this, just make sure, 18th, right? Day of September 2024. In court.
And yeah.
And then as we discussed, Holly, I'm gonna put all of this back in these folders, so from here on out, in the future, it goes back to you and things don't get missed. Next topic, approving fee schedule for the jail. Lieutenant Worley is present, and this, I think we came before the court at an earlier time, and we were looking at overall the whole entire fee schedule, but this has a timeliness issue to it, so we need to.
Yes, so Oregon's Sheriff's Association composed a committee to redo their Oregon jail standards. I was able or had the pleasure of serving on that committee. So now there's a version 9 that's out. In the previous versions, it didn't require under the public records standard. It did not require the adoption by the governing body. In this version of the standard, it does. I really am trying to assist the soon-to-be new jail commander in making sure that we're going to hit those standards for your next 2025 inspection. And so this would be one of the standards that he will get scored on. The previous one, there was 317 standards and we scored a 99% on that jail inspection. This next cycle, there's now an accreditation program through the Sheriff's Association. If he was to score 90 or above, this jail could see accreditation. So we do need to get this done so that way we can go through and do our pre-inspection. So that way in the summer of 25, we're prepared for it.
When was the last one? Was it 23?
Yeah.
Is it every 2 years?
Every 2 years. Yes. And so the new records inspection, duplicates and fees, which is OSSA's A204, members of the public must be permitted during business hours to inspect and obtain a copy of any record to which they have a right to access under the public records statutes. Jail officials may charge a reasonable fee to cover the jail's actual cost of duplicating the record or compiling records in a form other than that's maintained by the jail to the extent permitted by the public records statute and county regulations, ordinances, and policies implementing these statutes. Fees for duplicating or compiling records must A, be established by individual counties by ordinance or policy adoption by the governing body. B, be reasonable to cover the actual cost accrued by the jail. C, may not be more than $25 unless the jail has first provided a written estimate of cost of producing the records and the requester has confirmed that they want the jail to proceed with the request, and D, conform to the provisions laid out in the public records law. So I did send our policy to our legal counsel. I do have the emails if you want to review that, but he did approve this policy. He did make one suggestion and that was changed. And then we also have our public records request form that also has the fee schedule. Can I use this?
Yeah.
It also has our fee schedules outlined and then the regulations and different fee schedules attached to it. So the public has that information when they request.
Do you maintain the records of the public records requests, or do you work with the clerk's office to?
No, we at the sheriff's office we do it.
Okay.
So our civil department, she maintains hers. I maintain. To be honest with you, I rarely ever have I received a public request through the jail itself. It's mainly our civil department that receives those for patrol. But I maintain those public records requests.
Good. Any questions, discussion? So then I will make a motion to approve and adopt Harney County Sheriff's Office Jail Corrections Facilities Policy and Procedure Manual on public records requests and the fees associated with that.
I guess my just question is, maybe what I'm looking at online, the policy and procedure manual cover page, when it says effective date, it says January 1st, 2024.
Yeah, we'll be changing that.
You will.
So because of the new standard and the way that it's written, then it needs to be adopted. So that'll be changed.
Okay.
So I will change that and re-email one out for signature if it's approved.
Okay.
Is this, what we have in front of us here, does this constitute the entire policy?
No, it does not. It's just the one policy.
Just the one policy relating to records management?
Yes. I believe you have access. I know that Commissioner Doro has access to the jail's full policy through the Power VMS site. And I believe you do as well if you need me to resend that information if you want to view the, and it's also on the Harney County Jail's website, the full policy is that you can access.
Okay, that's good.
With the exception of the restricted policies.
Just point of clarification, this accreditation, this is a new accreditation across the whole state. So here you're leaving us in really good shape to become accredited along with everybody else. It's not like we've been trying for 30 years to get accredited and we're finally getting it. It's right.
Yes. So the Sheriff's Association decided that they wanted to start an accreditation program with all the jails throughout the state to incentivize on the Sheriff's Association jail inspections. And, you know, and it's a award to the jail for the work that they do. And so we weren't eligible. So that the new version was written before our last inspection, but we weren't eligible for that accreditation until the 2024 hit year, because that's when the version 9 went into effect, even though the standard was written at the time of our inspection. So I think it'd be really neat that we scored so well on the 23 inspection to be able to just maintain where we're at, get these policies done, get the inspection done, and be able to receive that accreditation. I think that would be very large for Harney County to be able to get that award.
Has any of the standards changed from the time it was done in 23 to 25?
Yes, it has. So there were 317 standards on the last inspection. The new standards has 300. So we've weeded some of them out and combined some of them that were closely related. I know when I was sitting on the committee, there was a lot of things in it that was a little harder for your rural communities to meet just because of the lack of resources. And so we were able to, you know, some of the smaller communities that served on that committee were able to kind of work with legal counsel and OSSA to try to get them
lobby and represent the smaller entities.
Absolutely. So there was lots of things that we were able to go in and explain to, you know, north of the pass why we need some of these things and to review everything with legal counsel to make sure that we were still abiding by all the statutes federally and state. So
the intent is still there.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Any other concerns or questions?
No, this Lieutenant Worley has done an amazingly awesome job over the years on getting us all lined out in a world that continues to require more and more and more regulations and checklists and everything else. And always at the heart is just running a safe jail.
Yes.
So many, many thanks.
Thank you.
So I made the motion to accept and approve
I'm thinking about it.
policy and procedure.
A second.
A motion's been made and seconded to approve and adopt the Harney County Sheriff's Office Jail Corrections Facility Policy and Procedure Manual on Records Management, Jail Administration Management, Records Management. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? Motion carries. We're certified that on this 18th day of September 2024. They almost would have got me because not that it matters, but my name's usually at the top and I have signed before out of so I caught myself this time without it doesn't matter. I'm just
Lieutenant Worley, how many years have you worked here for the county?
6 years, ma'am.
6. So, man, you've got a lot done in 6 years.
Very proud. I hope I'm leaving in a good spot.
Yes. So with that, I wanted to say, after we got done with the business here, that I think you have 2 days left with the county.
I do, yeah.
It's been a pleasure working with you. Your professionalism and your attention to detail in the jail. And I have a perspective that a lot of people don't have because I worked back there in the early mid-90s. When I first started with the sheriff's office, was a low man on the totem pole and had to fill in the jail. Mm-hmm. So it is the first time I walked through it a year or two ago, it's majorly different and organized and clean, and all of that goes to you. So thank you very much. In some respects, it's kind of we're losing you to another agency, and in some respects, it's kind of like the proud parent that is passing one of its very accomplished employees onto somebody else. So look forward to working with you in that role, and congratulations and good luck to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
So, all right.
On a quick side note,
yes,
I was going through some really, really old, year 1929, 1930 job record, and we were able to find some of your arrest records in that book. I'll have to bring them by. And
from when I worked at the SO?
Yeah, it's a huge book.
1939.
They date back, I have a date back to 1929 is the earliest records of the bookings in the jail.
Is that for jail bookings?
Yes, and so, but as we were going through the years up to, I think, those records ended in 94, if I remember correctly. But we were able to see some of your arrests. So the jail staff kind of got a kick out of it.
It was about 94, I think, when we switched over to the first computerized system, JailMate.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
All right. I'm going to skip one here because the next, I'm going to skip the strategic planning next steps and move into the road vacation hearing. It's advertised for 11 o'clock, so it's at 11 o'clock, and we'll just move right into that. So before us is, and we'll open a public hearing on the matter of vacation of a road located in Druzy, Oregon. The roadmaster has done his investigation, and
yeah, so pursuant on the order that the Harney County Court dated August 21st, 2024, I, Eric Duchella, Harney County Road Supervisor, have researched the above mentioned alleyway and make my report as follows. The alleyway in question does appear to be in Harney County. The assessment of the county road supervisor of whether the vacation would be in the public's interest, my answer is yes, for the following reasons. The alleyway in question does not appear to be established, developed for public use. At this point in time, there is, between two neighbors, they basically are using it for storage, and they're maintaining the vegetation and cleaning it, but it's not public use. And The purpose of the original plat map of Druzy, dated 1902, does not coincide with the current property development. And then, of course, all utility easements will remain in place for continued maintenance. So,
Are there any utilities that run through there?
and not that I'm aware of, there isn't any power poles or anything like that. I don't know about underground or anything like that, but again, we make that blanket statement. So if somebody does need to have access to it, they can.
Okay, good. All right. Any questions?
No questions.
Make a motion then to approve Court Order 2024-13, vacation of a road in Druzy, Oregon. In the matter of vacation of a road located in Druzy, Oregon. And then the order specifies the legal description. Richard Roadmaster. Roadmaster has given his report. Is in the best interest of the public. Now therefore it is hereby ordered and adjudged that the unnamed roadway located in the above description in the town of Druzy, Oregon is hereby vacated, and that all right and title thereto, subject to the rights of all public and private easements of record, does hereby vest in the owners of the land abutting the vacated property in accordance with Oregon law. And then we shall forward this off to the county surveyor so that he may annotate the plat, the master plat.
Was that a motion?
Yes.
I second.
Motion has been made and seconded in the matter of approving Court Order 2024-13, vacation of a road in Druzy, Oregon, as specified. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed?
Would you vote?
Oh, aye. Sorry. I was thinking it in my head. Motion carries. And to that topic, we have been looking at our road vacation process. And Executive Assistant York has reached out to some other counties and looked at processes and procedures. And there's a couple of different ways by statute that can be done, either by a petition or by application. A petition cuts out some of the steps. It's notarized, has to be a notarized petition, and it kind of cuts out some of the steps. Helps streamline things. I think the advertising portion of it, or the posting portion, the 30 days was not.
You don't have to post it. You don't have to have a public hearing.
Okay. So we've created a form for that for the public to use. It's on our website. So then an interested member would then fill out the information in that form, have it notarized, and bring it to county court.
So is this, you're adding another or you're replacing the process?
Well, there's two alternative ways of doing it, and we're streamlining it.
And without having to have a public hearing or whatever, does that in any way create a concern of?
I think that the
public interest that maybe technically needed to be done, or?
If you have a bunch of owners and it's going to cause a problem, you probably can't do the petition. But if it's just like this one was, where it's 2 owners, you can totally do the petition.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it stipulates that if it's between 2 owners or properties and both owners sign off to it, then I mean, you know, why do you post and everything if the only 2 interested parties are the 2 adjoining properties? Yeah.
And so will that process, the petition process, be something that the roadmaster wouldn't even need to be checking in on at all?
I think they still are.
I think you still have to have a roadmaster investigation on it. Yeah, because we're need to determine whether or not we have any interest as the county to maintain that right of way, that easement.
Eric, do you see any challenges to?
No, I don't. And I think again, the checks and balances of making sure that, you know, that old cliche, you may two people happy and then you upset five down the road somewhere because you're vacating a road. That's the biggest criteria that we need to make sure that we're doing our due diligence to try to make sure that, you know, all that's met. So again, streamlining it when there's an alleyway where there's two property owners, you know, that, or, you know, a roadway that's going through the middle of the Crane football field. I mean, some of those are just pretty black and white, but there are other ones where, you know, we need to do our due diligence to make sure that we're doing it right. So,
and the approval at the county court level, whichever process comes before us, it'll still be something that we sign off on. And
yeah, there'll still be an order just like this for us to execute. Also, kind of on that topic, and while we're not trying to just dig up any fees that we can, you know, for no reason generate revenues, but there is a portion of this that the surveyor has to do, and we haven't been charging anything for that portion of it for the annotation in the plat, and other counties do charge for that, so we're looking at recouping those fees in this process.
Yeah, I think we should consider
that. So that finishes out that, and we'll go back to the strategic planning next steps.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
If you revise these forms, what area is it going to be inserted into the website? Is it under commissioners?
There's never been a form, so I actually created one, and it is in the road department. If you go to the website, it'll see petition form.
Thank you.
Strategic planning. Had we reached out to, when we found out that the schools had a strategic plan and some other entities around here have, and we were going to reach out to see who they helped assist them with that? We haven't gotten to that yet, have we?
Robert, I sent one to Mr. Medley, and he has not gotten back to me, and I also sent one to
thank you, Eric.
To Dan, and he's out sick today.
Okay. So we're pursuing, trying to find the next steps on how to get started in it, you know, whether that's through a mediation type of a individual that would help us mediate and get through and outline all the steps and whatnot, or how we want to pursue on that. Unless you have any ideas?
Nope. I don't, I'd have to hear more on how you're defining what we're master planning, you know, is it just what part of the county vision are we getting ready to set? You know, therefore it'll talk about how many entities need to be involved, etc.
Let's just for kind of a go by, let's see if we can get a strategic plan from another county, maybe a couple of counties, and just see the topics and what it encompasses and what we need to be thinking about. You know, getting our minds in the right direction for that.
Absolutely.
So, all right. New business. I'm going to, I hate to do this because you've been sitting here so long, Melinda, but we do have, like I said, some people online from Motorola that they've been waiting now for about an hour. I'm going to jump over to the Motorola contract and address that topic. Okay. So Blake and Russell from Motorola. Printed things out. Now, as I mentioned to you in email traffic, we normally like to have this stuff a little bit sooner for review. And I know we had some last minute changes in the last couple of days. The major thing was that this was a lease / purchase agreement, I believe. And since we have been advised by Oregon Department of Justice, we should be receiving the total amount for this purchase of $563,956 in the form of a grant through the state. So we won't have any need for a lease. Now, again, I know that I had mentioned that we don't know for sure when we're going to get these funds. They had told us potentially October or November when they would be released. So with that in mind, in the very back of I think the last page of the contract, there's a section for payment milestones. And it says a 50% of the contract to be invoiced on November 1st, 2024. I don't know if we'll have the funds by then. And that would be, $280,000 from some other source that we would have to pay, and then, or some other line or fund that we would have to pay and then backfill once we got this grant. So is there any way to extend or to remove that language on that item?
Yeah. Hey, Judge, this is Russell. So within the contract, I'd have to go in and look where it is, but there's actually a 30-day period beyond that. So technically, you could pay December 1st, even though it shows due November 1st. So even if you got the funds middle of November, you would have that grace period.
It does say in the paragraph above it, customer will make payment to Motorola within 30 days after the date of each invoice.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. So, and we will actually begin work. So if you were to say you sign today, we'll actually begin work on the project even prior to getting those payments as well.
Okay. And I know there was another issue, I think in the cover letter. Motorola Solutions is pleased to provide blah, blah. The Flex software suite includes CAD, RMS, JMS Mobile. This proposal is valid through September 27th. So if we don't execute this contract before September 27th, then the cost or the price could change.
Correct. Yeah, that's just a pricing validity that we've agreed to when we put the proposal together. We can only extend our pricing for so long, right? So things will change. So
I've been working on this, and County Council has reviewed it.
Okay.
They have been in coordination between Motorola Council and County Council to address some minor stuff in there, but the issues that our County Council had. I'm okay with it, but I know that we normally I just added it to the agenda this morning. How do you feel about it?
Well, my only concern is there any risk or penalty to the county if the release of the funds to us is delayed, etc.? I'm concerned about that. I don't know if there's a proviso sentence or very short paragraph to add into this or not that will cover that. I don't know if there's anyone to be in touch with where they could assure us, the grantor, that it's coming. If you feel comfortable staying within the timeline of payments on this from our other funds, is there anything that would prohibit that payment coming down? Does it have to go directly to the provider of the equipment? I mean, can it come to our, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to act like this is a big deal, but nevertheless.
The source of the grant?
I mean, are they allowed to, when you receipt it as a county, but you've already had to pay Motorola because the funds didn't come yet, is there any problem at all with that?
Thinking back in the budget process, I did appropriate $500,000 in the 911 budget, just in case our grant didn't come through, and then we would have the ability to have this discussion. It didn't commit us to spending that $500,000. It just would say, do we want to continue and use these funds, or do we want to not do it at all? So I guess I would say that, so those funds, that $500,000 is there, that if we didn't receive it from the state of Oregon, that we could make payment that way. And then once we did receive the funds, it would backfill that amount.
Is it really hard to get an answer to when they're going to release those funds?
I haven't been in touch with the grant coordinator at the state with DOJ. I know Brad Sweeney, that was the previous Motorola representative that we were dealing with, had talked with that individual. And I believe the 911 supervisor has been in communication, but she's out on vacation right now. So my question, I guess, would be, how do you feel about proceeding with this today or scheduling next week a special session to execute this contract at that time before the September 27th date?
I would prefer to schedule something next week. I'm a little uncomfortable today.
Okay.
Especially since I haven't had time to look at it at all.
So what does your schedule look like for the 24th, which is next Wednesday, I believe?
I was going to zoom in on a BIC, which is a 4-hour, but I don't have to.
And Judge, just an idea. Here's a thought. So you do have the other agreement that is the lease agreement, and that payment is in the arrear, so it does give you a greater amount of time as far as the funding options come, and there is no penalty for paying that off early. So you could proceed with the original lease agreement that you have, and you could sign that instead of this, and then when funds come available, you can pay that off as you see fit. So you do have some options there as well.
It's lease to own?
Well, originally it was because we didn't know if we were going to get these funds or not.
Right.
So it was set up on a lease over 5 years, I believe it was.
Correct.
And it was $100,000 and some odd $1,000 a year for 5 years. And if we didn't get these grant funds, then entities, City of Burns, City of Hines, HDH, EMS, and the county were going to equally share in that lease payment. But again, since we were awarded these funds, I know you guys would probably like to have this contract signed, but I don't want to go with that lease language. I'd rather keep it clean. I don't want to have any potential finance charges. If we can execute this on the 24th, it'll still be within that date time.
I'll make myself available on the 24th whenever you schedule it.
What time?
Well, let me look at it here. The 24th was Tuesday.
Yes.
And I think the afternoon, 1:30.
Will be fine.
Okay. Oops, am I looking at the 24th? Let me double check here. Yes, 1:30 on the 24th.
Okay.
So I apologize, gentlemen, for Motorola, but just so that we have time to make some contacts, double check, and make sure we're all, before we commit the county to this large sum of money.
No, not at all. Totally understand. I appreciate you calling a special session to do that. I know that's effort on your part, so but I completely understand that as well. You kind of want some I's dotted, so we will plan on being available for that as well.
Okay. And then this document versus the lease agreement that I was reviewing the other day looks like it only has maybe 3 pages for any kind of information to be filled in. There's page 20 that has will have the commissioner's signatures and a Motorola representative signature. And then there's a shared agency addendum with a county representative and a Motorola representative. And then the very last page that has information with addresses and point of contact names. Is that all that we need to execute on that at that time?
Yeah, where you took out the lease agreement language, it simplified the contract quite a bit, right? And that's kind of why we had talked about doing that adjustment for it to make it a little bit more simple as well.
Okay. So we will then do our research and ask questions of what we need to do. I'd like to get in touch with the state of Oregon and find out exactly what that looks like and what our options are, if it's gonna be later than that. And we will have that special session at 1:30 Oregon time. Not sure where you gentlemen are at, but that'll be Pacific time. And move to execute at that time.
Yeah, perfect. And we can adjust those dates and stuff as well. Obviously, we want to be a partner with you, so we're not definitely tied to that date. We felt like that was kind of a good medium where you said October or November. So absolutely happy to work with you on that.
Yeah, no, but I didn't see that page, like I said, in the previous document. So it kind of caught me this morning a little bit off guard as to commitment there. So let me do some checking on that, and we'll be ready for it on the 24th at 1:30.
Okay, sounds great.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you for your time, gentlemen.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you for your consideration. I'll just be more comfortable
Okay.
then.
That's, like I said, I've been involved in this for the last couple of months, and I know county council's reviewed it, and I'm okay with the gist of it. It's just that commitment to when the funds are going to be due.
Right. Thank you.
So then we'll step back then to emergency operation plan. Thank you, Melinda, for your understanding there.
Melinda Todd, emergency manager. I'm still better. We can get signed. I sent you guys just a short presentation, so we wouldn't have to spend a ton of time if most of you to. And discussing just a few changes that were made to it, and they were pretty basic, but.
And for the record, the reason we're doing this is why?
It is requirement of our grant for EMPG. And it hasn't been promulgated in quite a few years. So that's the last step of that, but it has to be, the EOP has to be updated every 2 years. And with that should come a signature.
And the changes you made were primarily what?
I had to reformat it so that we could actually update it. Changed, it says emergency management coordinator. I changed that to emergency manager. Oregon has updated ESF, so there was only 15, I believe, in there originally. Now we have 18, so we needed to add those in there. Resource links, there were some missing links as things change over, the last 5-10 years. And I've separated the annexes out of the plan. So we just have a base plan that's online because that huge plan is 670 pages. The state got a grant and had basically like university students write everybody's EOP for them. So all of our plans look the same and a lot of the information in there is not accurate for Harney County. So it really needs to be, the annexes need to be dug into. And since there's 18 ESFs, so that's, 18 of those to go through with all the collaborators that'll be involved in that. And then all of the annexes in addition to that. So it's going to be a hefty, task. So haven't dug into that yet because we have some other things that we need to do first, but.
And for the record, if I'm correct, ESF is emergency service function.
Emergency support function.
Support function.
And I like your approach to it. I like how you sent us all the information on exactly what was changing and why. And as far as the basic plan will be online, but the annexes, how do people?
I have pulled the annexes. I've been advised that because some of those are very detailed and sensitive information, we need a cybersecurity plan, and that'll be part of an annex, and that's not something that the public should have access to, obvious reasons for security reasons. So, and also just to tone it down. And most places don't have their entire EOP online, which we have had. So it toned this down to 114 pages. It is just the basics of this is the guidance of how we'll respond to an emergency, but it's a living document. It's really just guidance because everybody knows a little falls and telephone fire and all the other fires, you never pull a plan out and go, okay, what are we going to do? So it's a requirement that we have it. It's just for guidance. And then obviously we have change in judge, change in emergency manager. Those needed to be changed in there. OEM is now ODEM.
A lot of the stuff in your presentation would look to be just mostly housekeeping type
It
of
was
stuff.
very much just housekeeping.
Well, and part of that's because you've been doing a really good job on lining this out. And I know it's not fun, glamorous work that you usually have.
Yes. So much glamour.
But it's really important, and I appreciate the effort it takes.
And then in regards to the different annexes and cybersecurity, I did reach out to our IT contractor just this week and asked the status on that. And
yes,
in the
I
process.
asked about that too. Yes. We'll get it eventually, but
no. Any further discussion? I will entertain a motion to promulgate. We're accepting this revision. A motion to accept this Harney County Emergency Operation Plan revision.
So moved.
A motion, I'll second. A motion's been made and seconded to accept the Harney County, Oregon Emergency Operation Plan revision dated September 2024. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? And hearing none, motion carries.
well, maybe you want to just, if you spam that, because you can spam foundation. Okay, I will do that.
This big printed copy has that page right here, so I'm going to pull that out. Let's put that in.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Any other questions or?
Not at this time.
All right, thank you.
So, taking care of that. So one of the other housekeeping things that we have found, like I said, in the process of reviewing records is was the annual appointment of wait a minute, this one is first. Getting ahead of myself. So in the matter of appointing a pool of members for the Harney County Property Value Appeals Board, formerly known as BOPTA, the Board of Property Appeals, now is
PVAB.
Yeah. Every year we appoint a member of the governing body and an alternate, and then 2 members of the public. And this year, appointment, the matter having come before the court, it appears at the county court that it is authorized by ORS 309.067 to appoint persons to the pool of members for the Harney County Property Value Appeals Board. And it is ordered that William J. Hart and Patty Doro be appointed members of the chairperson pool for the County Board of Property Values and Appeals Board. The term shall begin September 18th and end June 30th, or until their successors be appointed. It is so ordered that Julie Svekar, and I never know if I say that right or not, but and Marty Stewart be appointed members of the non-office holding pool of the Harney County Property Value Appeals Board. The term shall begin on September 18th, 2024, and end June 30th, 2025, or until their successors be appointed by the Harney County Court. The Harney County Clerk will appoint at their discretion 1 member from the chairperson's pool to serve as chair, 2 members from the non-office holding pool to serve on the Property Value Appeals Board, and 1 member from the non-office holding pool to serve as an alternate. Is the matter that is before us. Any questions? No. Discussion? No. I'll make a motion then to approve order of appointment 2024-15 in the matter of appointing a pool of members for the Harney County Property Value Appeals Board.
I second.
A motion has been made and seconded to approve order of appointment 2024-15 as read. Any further discussion? No. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Next topic is then, as I was starting to get ahead of myself, in checking through records, we realized that as normally takes place in January of each year, the court appoints a county public health administrator for each year, and traditionally that is the county judge. If anybody else would like to step up and do that, I'm more than happy to relinquish. So we tabled it at that time because of some other topics that were under discussion at that time, and it just never got taken care of. So we're doing some housekeeping ourselves and going back and making this appointment to add it to our archives and records and make sure that we've got it covered.
And it will be done retroactively.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I checked with county council to see if there was any issues with making it retroactive, and they said there wasn't any. So it will be retroactive to January 3rd, 2024.
Okay, well, I definitely, let's see. I would like to move to approve court order 2024-14 in the matter of appointing a county public health administrator for the year 2024. And it would be effective immediately and retroactively from the date of January 3rd, 2024. And it would be William Hart, County Judge.
A motion has been made, or I'll second. And a motion has been made and seconded to approve court order 2024-14 in the matter of appointing a county public health administrator for the year of 2024. Any further discussion?
I guess my question is this a calendar year?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Retroactive. It's hereby appointed by the court for the Harney County, Oregon for the year 2024.
Yeah, because it's one of the many appointments we do usually in January every year. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
All in favor, any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
I was looking for Eric, but he must have left.
He left already. Okay, next two topics are some letters requesting support of, or some emails and requesting support on letters being sent to the governor, and one of them is to the Department of Interior. Anyway, so we'll move with the first one to the governor, and is that one in here? That's just this one. So we received a request as a letter from Jackson County, Oregon. Letter requesting the repeal of Oregon Senate Bill 762 from 2021 and 80 from 2023. These letters, or these Senate bills, directed the adoption of the proposed wildfire hazard maps. As we've all kind of been involved over the last year and a half on the creation of these maps and the accuracy of these maps, I believe basically even myself concerned that there still seems to be some inconsistencies and not enough ground truthing, not enough consideration of all the different aspects that affect wildland fire and the hazards that it presents to structures and properties. For instance, and I know they've acknowledged this and supposed to have fixed it in their models, but they had agricultural lands that are irrigated and green and not going to spread, fire's not going to run through there. But they had those areas listed in higher level hazards. Right now, I think there's a low, medium, and a high are the three listed on the map. And they had those areas listed in the moderate, medium category, which one could argue that it should be in a low category. And some other modeling information that they were using to generate and create these maps from sitting in Corvallis that generated across the state. So go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, no, I might even offer to read the letter because I think it will be it's a good letter and it's written well. Jackson County, and they have been known to do this over the years, which I like, is if they're doing some initiative from their board of commissioners and they think some other people might also agree and want to sign on, they'll send it out and just say, if you're interested, let us know by such and such date. If you would like to also your county or, whatever, sign on. And those Senate bills, I mean, obviously a senator is going to initiate something they think is going to be helpful. Okay. But this thing has turned out not to be helpful, not to be accurate, not to have any guaranteed funding for anything. And then they're going to start trying to supposedly maintain and coordinate if the irrigated areas are within 5 years and all this stuff that, it's not helpful to the property owners and the counties and the land at all. It was supposed to be something it has not become. It is not funded to become, and it has hurt people actually. They didn't mean to, but on the insurance stuff that just threw up the red flags. And so I think most of us in fighting it didn't think to the most obvious thing, ask for it to be repealed. And that's what this does. And I think it's worth Harney County considering signing on to. So if you want, I'll just read it. We, the Jackson County Board of Commissioners, wish to express our strong opposition to the adoption of the proposed wildfire hazard map pursuant to Oregon's Senate Bills 762 back in 2021 and 80 back in 2023. Furthermore, we believe that the policy behind this legislation needs to be completely revisited as it was implemented based on an inaccurate, inconsistent map and a flawed process that could lead to significant legal challenges, erode public trust, and unjustly restrict property rights in the community. As such, we request that you propose repealing the provisions of SBs 762 and 80. The current iteration of the proposed map, conducted pursuant to SB 80, promised to be a significant improvement over its predecessor that was developed under SB 762 and being more thoroughly researched and vetted. However, what we have observed is the exact opposite. The proposed map contains substantial errors in the basic information, incorrect tax lot counts, incorrect structure locations, misclassified fire scars, and outdated data. These fundamental errors highlight a troubling reality. The state has been unable to produce a map that meets the necessary accuracy and reliability to effectively reduce wildfire hazards. These inaccuracies also present real consequences that will impose substantial burdens, costs, and regulations on property owners. Additionally, the challenges faced by the state in creating this proposed map are compounded by mismanaged public lands that surround many of the most affected properties. These poorly managed areas significantly increase the risk of wildfires and present a larger hazard than the conditions that property owners can control. This combination of inaccurate mapping and the neglect of surrounding landscapes underscores the need for a comprehensive approach that addresses both individual property management and the larger context of public land stewardship. Acknowledging these external factors is crucial for developing more effective strategies to mitigate wildfire risks and enhance community safety, and was not considered during the development of the proposed map. Furthermore, the process surrounding the development of the proposed map lacked transparency and meaningful public engagement and led to the disenfranchisement of property owners who were not adequately informed or consulted. Additionally, the notification of the application of the proposed map to individual property owners after the comment period closes will require individual property owners to go through the costly and time-consuming contested case process that is required under SB 80. Moreover, SB 762 and 80 requires that the proposed map's classification system rely on outdated data, which fails to account for proactive measures taken by property owners to mitigate wildfire risks, such as home hardening and creating defensible space. This leads to arbitrary decisions and unnecessary restrictions on responsible property owners who have already taken steps to protect their properties. Given these pressing concerns, we urge you to repeal SBs 762 and 80 and reconsider the policy behind the adoption of the proposed wildfire hazard map. Thank you for considering our concerns and recommendations. We look forward to your response on this important matter. Sincerely.
So the letter is from Jackson County Board of Commissioners. And in their email to us, they just state that the Jackson County Board of Commissioners would like to invite each of your boards to join in this letter before it is sent. If your boards are agreeable to joining the letter, please include signatures and logo. So, and also the letter is addressed to Governor Kotek, Senator Taylor, Senate Majority Leader, Representative Fahey, Speaker of the House, Representative Helfrich, House Minority Leader, Senator Wagner, Senate President, Senator Bonham, Senate Minority Leader, and Representative Bowman, House Majority Leader. I would agree with what's been stated in the letter, and that some more time and more thought needs to be put into this process if it's going to go through. As mentioned, the unintended consequences of this process has already been evident in our county. So I would be in line to support and add Harney County's name to it.
Me too. I read it and I liked it. I agreed with it. And I thought, you know, it's not to criticize what I'm sure was intended to be a helpful initiative, but enough time has passed, enough people have tried, and it's better to cut your losses and move on and not put any more money into this, because this is not working. This is not going to work.
Go ahead.
Rick Paul. The only problem I have is making sure that the insurance industry is continued to be restricted from being able to use any of that data. And I don't know if that does that or not.
We shall add that in our reply email, that are concerned about the insurance industry being able to use any of the data derived for this process.
Because they were prohibited.
Sue Ramsey. In speaking further on insurance, I asked my insurance agent the role of this map, and he said even if it changed, the insurance companies have their own map, and that this map, whatever comes up, is not going to impact them. But I don't know what their map is either that we're being categorized under, and it has basically caused a lot of people to lose insurance coverage as the number of insurance companies dwindles. Well, because of fires.
I believe that the insurance companies do not formally use this, but in doing their jobs, they read things and are well aware of things, and it influences their methodology.
If the insurance companies have an industry map that they're using to classify Oregon, it would kind of be nice to know what their map is. Would be my one question.
Well, this map will be unclassified open source stuff in our society. It is out there as information. It is out there easily accessible for anyone who cares to access it, read it, look at it, and think about it.
On the Oregon side, but what is the insurance?
That's kind of beyond what.
Can you request?
I would refer you to.
The other thing is in this new map that's being worked on, supposedly available October 1st, they don't have a category for minimal exposure. They have low, medium, and high, but there is some areas that are minimal, and I don't think that was even considered in their categorizing.
And you know, they look to smart people who had certain skill sets to try to do this work, and they had a very rapid timeline. They had to do that first map and everything, and I know they had academia involved, etc. And I'm sure they gave it their best shot under the circumstances. But this is not the path to making things better at all.
I totally agree. I think
even if we fix the little things, people saying this is not gonna move us forward. So,
but I'm just bringing up issues from resident sides, citizen sides, is what's happened with the availability of insurance carriers. The premiums have skyrocketed, and the fact that there's a lot of area like pivots that are minimal exposure, and they don't recognize. They categorize it as low, which is not accurate. Should be minimal. That's it.
In the initial map that was released last year, there were, and I don't remember what they were, but there were 4 categories of hazard. And then in this revised map, it was reduced down to 3 categories. So, yeah, and I agree that there's, well, and I'm not sure I care for the process even for appealing or for, we have here in Harney County, we have the Miller Springs Housing Development Project that is all classified as high risk in that area, according to this map. And then once they start construction out there and start mitigating the brush and putting roads and streets and water and everything else in there, that should reduce that area to low or moderate at best until houses are built and lawns are put in and everything else. But the process is a revision every 5 years.
I was going to say it doesn't have the resources to be a successful program, and people are struggling as it is. And if they can't even get insurance, or it's just so expensive, that it is beyond their means, then they're going to take the money they save. It's risky from insuring their place to hardening it and doing what they can, much of which is often already done. But they're going to not want fire to affect their property anywhere they can. They'll be doing their part anyway, but now they're uninsured. It's very challenging, and it's not just property owners, and it's not just public stewardship. It's everything. And again, I like this letter, and I would definitely sign on behalf of Harney County.
Again, I don't know if we need a motion or not to do something like this, but my voice would be to yes, join in on this letter.
I agree. So
the records show then for the Commissioner Doral and myself present, we shall add our signatures to this letter.
Holly, you have our electronic signatures, right? And the logo. I think that's primarily what we want. And I believe they needed it by the end of October. So,
Yeah.
This one.
We need to ask Commissioner Shellman if she'd like her signature included.
You can send her an email. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, before October 31st on this one. The next one up is
National Old Growth Amendment.
Yeah. Sign request and sign on opportunity for AFRC, which is American Forest Resource Council, on regarding National Forest System and National Old Growth Amendment, OGA. There is quite a bit in this document. It points to a lot of work that hasn't been done. A threat assessment that should have been done before, well, was done, but I don't think it was included in their planning on the threats to our old growth forests, forest fires, insect kill, drought, whatever that might be. And I don't, in this letter, this document, it points to those factors weren't considered. There's definitions that needed to be or should be created versus one size fits all versus a wet forest like we have on the western side of our state and a dry forest on the western side of our or eastern side of our state. So there's a lot of this letter is in the agenda packet for the public to review. But again, I think it spells out quite a bit, goes into detail on the NEPA process that was conducted, the decisions that were made. And that's a letter in objection to.
It's my understanding that this is a letter that Eastern Oregon Counties Association, I'm not sure which county, said, hey, would this be something that we as the Eastern Oregon Counties Association would like to support? And EOCA is not meeting between now and when this needs to be done, which is by Friday of this week. This just came up. And so this opportunity here at this agenda item is for us to say, yes, let's let EOCA that we want EOCA to go ahead and support this letter. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So it came from
originally from
Paul Andrus, didn't it?
I thought it was somebody else, and then I'm not sure. I don't recall.
Oh, there's a pretty long string on it. People that are saying that they support it, different governing body members saying they should support it. Or
well, I definitely would, as an EOCA member, as our county is, I would like to see EOCA weigh in support of it.
And I would agree. Again, it's another topic that could greatly affect our economy, our forest management. And after seeing the wildfires this year, the provisions in this plan directly could affect the security and the economy of Harney County. Again, I would, this one has to go back by Thursday, by close of business Thursday, so they can incorporate it on Friday. But again, I would recommend the county's endorsement and inclusion.
I agree. I support.
So then again, for the record, Commissioner Doro and myself are recommending or authorizing endorsement of this letter to
as part of EOCA.
So that I wasn't quite sure on that part of it. Was it individual counties and signatures that would be added to it, or would it just be a single endorsement from EOCA?
Either way, they've got the signatures on file at the EOCA level, whichever they decide to do. Email Commissioner Shellman on this one as well, perhaps, and let her know this one's time sensitive.
That takes us to the end of our agenda.
So will you be contacting EOCA, somebody to let them know?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We'll get something out to Commissioner Shellman real quick, like as soon as we're done here. And at least the majority quorum today is endorsing.
Yes.
Correspondence. Any correspondence for the record? Nothing in here.
2 letters.
This one?
Mm-hmm. And that one.
So as I'll read this first one here first. It's as we mentioned earlier, Lieutenant Worley and her leaving the county for other opportunities. A letter of resignation from Roxanne Worley, addressed to Sheriff Dan Jenkins. Kindly accept this letter as my formal resignation as jail commander and from the Harney County Sheriff's Office. My last day is expected to be September 20th, 2024, 3 weeks from today. I am incredibly grateful for the opportunities that I have been given in this post. I value the insights that I have learned, and I expect them to help me in my future endeavors. I would also like to thank you for being supportive of my professional growth. Please know that this is one of the most difficult decisions I have had to make. I've enjoyed working with you and the rest of the team. I will miss our dysfunctional family more than you know. As I have said in our previous conversations, if assistance is needed in the future, I am always willing to help you and the Sheriff's Office team. I am only a phone call away. Let me know how I can help in making the transition of responsibilities as seamless as possible for everyone involved. Thank you. Best wishes, Roxanne Worley. So, as we mentioned earlier, we're losing a valued employee, but she's going to continue on and provide, I think, valuable work within our community still. Next letter is from the Oregon State University. From Christopher Elliott to Harney County Court, from Christopher Elliott, Interim Vice Provost, University Extension and Engagement, and Interim Director, Extension Service. Subject is county fund balances. The OSU Extension Service strives to make its fiscal management and budget process transparent to all faculty, staff, and constituents. As a part of this transparency, we are providing you with the OSU Extension Service fund balance for Harney County. At the end of 2024 fiscal year, June 30th, 2024, the fund balance was $0. This fund balance reflects the remaining county appropriated dollars at fiscal year end.
That's nice to hear. When we had our budget crisis back in the 2018-19 timeframe and had to look everywhere for dollars to fill in the gaps, one thing that had not been on my radar at all, I don't know if it had been on the previous county judges at the time, but we all became aware that the OSU fund on their end, they were retaining dollars at the end of each contract year, and they had like $90,000 in Harney County money. And so we requested that be returned to us and that not be the practice moving forward. And it took a little while to fix, and it got fixed. So this is good.
The invoices that the county was receiving was not for actual man hours and services, but an averaged amount over a year's time, and was creating a surplus in their account. So yes, since I had come on, we worked to bring that surplus down to zero, which we did this past year. There was still $30,000, I think, at the beginning of this past fiscal year, and they billed to that or deducted from that, and we ended up with $0 invoices until it was utilized, and then we start getting billed for the actual services time.
Yeah, so it's on a good path now.
Any other correspondence?
No.
Scheduling, meeting schedules, any
there's the Falls Fire After Action County staff meeting on the 19th. Tomorrow, 2:00. There's Association of Oregon Counties Board of Director and Legislative Retreat Friday and Saturday this week, 20th, 21st. I'm going to zoom in for the legislative on Saturday since I'm on that committee, but it's happening in Salem. Budget board review on Monday the 23rd at 2. Blues Intergovernmental Council is happening on Tuesday the 24th. I'll be going to a library advisory board that afternoon. And then the Association of Oregon Counties District 2 meeting in Lake County on Monday the 30th of September.
What's the the District 2 meeting on the 27th, AOC District 2 meeting in
That's
Lakeview.
incorrect.
That's
I
incorrect?
believe so. If you want, I'll call and confirm them.
Well, I guess I have them both on here for
I believe that's.
Friday and Monday.
I think, I'll tell you what, I'll take that on to confirm and let them know.
Okay.
So that takes you into October.
26 is SEAC.
Oh. Yeah.
Yep.
John Day.
10 o'clock, John Day Airport.
Rick, what day was that?
Excuse me?
What day was the SEAC?
26.
26.
Thank you.
As far as, well, wait for general deliberations.
So, as discussed, then we have, make sure we get on the calendar, special session on the 24th at 1:30.
Yes.
Are all of these meetings on the website? If I didn't write them down?
Some of them are just ones that we have assignments on. Any county court ones are. They're county court.
Yeah, the budget, the quarterly budget review should be on our calendar. The special sessions should be on our calendar. And then actually two meetings. I'd like to schedule a work session to discuss public health RHC.
When did you want to do that?
Well, I was looking at the 25th in the afternoon.
I have a noon haircut. We can do it after that.
2 o'clock-ish?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's schedule county court work session for 2 p.m. September 25th.
And the topic again is what?
Is Public Health Department, RHC, Rural Health Clinic.
Okay.
We need to discuss, and we can invite all those members as well. But we need to discuss plans for moving forward. We've never filled the public health director position, and the medical director for that contract is renewable every year, end of December, and whether or not we want to continue on that course, or if we want to put it out as kind of an interest to see if there's any other entities or individuals that would, I guess if the first step would see if there's any interest, and if there's no interest, we would negotiate with the current medical director and see about retaining that contract. If not, then we'd have to do an actual kind of like an RFP and receive proposals from interested physicians. It has to be a medical doctor, physician to serve in those capacities. So anyway, those would be the topics for that.
Okay.
For that session. And I don't think I have any other things to add other than what's been mentioned already through this month. Next county court session will be October 2nd, Wednesday, October 2nd.
And we have a work session that afternoon at 2 for the RVs being lived in on properties. And that next county court meeting, Executive Assistant York and Judge, I have a noon to 1 NACO Zoom meeting that I need to take. So when we're managing our time for the meeting,
for the agenda,
you can just block, make sure we recess if we have to and reconvene.
Right. Online attendance is Commissioner-elect Rob Frank. Now we're getting to the end here. Do you have anything you'd like to add, Mr. Frank? Probably caught him off guard there, didn't I?
We may have moved away from the computer and everything else.
General deliberation then. If you have anything, Rob, just speak up. But general deliberation.
There's just question how the Fairgrounds RV Park, how's that doing? It had a lot of use during fair and possibly fire season.
I haven't heard any updates. I did hear that there was some damage to some water lines or something by fire crews that caused a quite substantial amount of damage that needed to be repaired. And Fair Manager Robertson is trying to bill those costs to the incident management team.
Okay. Let's see, I had gotten an email or two regarding Fair Event Center stuff, and I was trying to do my own little homework, and I didn't see, I'm trying to find out now, I didn't see any fair board minutes posted since April. If they've had meetings and if they've taken minutes, I would like to see those things posted. In other words, because I could maybe get some of my questions immediately answered by reading them. So maybe check that out. And I think that's all I had. There's just a lot going on a lot of levels.
Yes, lots going on. Continue to be engaged, both Executive Assistant York and myself on the biomass board, looking at opportunities for infrastructure for the biomass, both in improvements and storage facility for wood fuel and management. There is a High Desert Partnership through a grant that was technical assistance program, is working basically on a management type of a plan for it. So some good stuff coming there. There's other grants that this year we'll be able to take advantage of on transportation costs, infrastructure upgrades and whatnot. So it'll give us the opportunity this year to help basically bank some revenue that then can be reinvested back into the system over time.
Is the system stable or healthy enough to want to acquire additional subscribers or not really?
Yes. I think the it's supposed to be turned back on. Right now it's running on propane in these shoulder months of the season. It doesn't really need it or have enough demand to fire up the wood fuel portion of it and burn all day long to keep it going for just a few hours in the morning or early morning hours. So they run it on propane for the first few weeks of this month. I think they just started the propane Monday. So it would be about half of this month, and then they'll start the wood burning in 1st of October. And then the same will happen next year in the spring as temperatures start to warm. But one of the major issues we had last year was fuel, the quality of the fuel, moisture content. And I think we've kind of got that solved for the time being anyway. Lumber mill up in Grant County offered about 6 truckloads of fuel for free. We just had to pay the loading cost and the transportation cost to get it here. So that's another opportunity that will help the balance numbers at the bottom of the sheet this year.
Was the quality okay?
Yeah, they're our consultant, the biomass consultant that they engaged in managing the system for a year, because there was some grant funds for that as well.
Right.
Was in agreement that they were good source of fuel, good fuel for the system.
Question. Is it straight pine? Is it a mixture, hardwood and pine, or any fir in it to make it burn more slowly?
Yeah, I don't know for sure. I couldn't tell you the exact makeup. Mr. Fur, do you know the?
All I can say is that there's no bark. So it's good quality. It's dry. But as far as it depends on what was running through the mill at that time. So it's just a mixture.
Okay.
So we're engaged in that, continuing, obviously. And just day-to-day county government duties.
Great.
I have started, I've kind of toyed with this idea over time. My workload's pretty heavy, and I hate to create more work in monitoring or whatever, but I have started kind of a log of what I'm working on each day, which will help me give a little bit better report here during the county court sessions of the topics and things that I've worked on in the past couple of weeks since the previous meetings. So I just started that, so we'll see how that looks next court session.
Those things tend to be very informative after you do them for a while. You can start to see where a lot of your administrative time ends up being spent.
I did have a visitation yesterday with our tenant out at the industrial buildings, Outlaw Wood Products.
Mm-hmm.
We need to execute a new lease with them. And so we talked about the facility out there, maintenance needs, the use area, required curtilage around that building and what their need for their operations. And one of the options that we have for the biomass is there was a couple years ago or some time ago, they put an asphalt pad out there for putting the chips on, the fuel on. And one of the opportunities that we have for the infrastructure is a shelter, pole barn type of a shelter or something to put the fuel in. And that's one of the sites that we're looking at potentially doing that because the asphalt's already there.
Okay.
So I want to make sure that trucks as they come in to unload that have a uninhibited access to that area to be able to unload. So I addressed that with them and just talked about continuing the lease with them.
On broadband, Executive Assistant York has continued to assist me and to find out more about the pre-qualification application that the county is just going to do just to give us a placeholder for future funding. And that continues to evolve. I had asked, for Oregon Broadband Office to provide me any of their contacts this while back on internet service providers that they may have contact with that I don't know of Spectrum and Charter and, T-Mobile and just anything in our area. And I was provided that early this week and sent out about 15 new introductory emails, and I've gotten a couple responses to, a lot of times someone's not even there anymore, kind of thing, or they're not the right person. But so we're still doing in the background what we can, but until we hear whether or not MyWave is successful in their grant application for the broadband deployment program work, we don't really have anything active going on per se. We're just keeping us aware of things. On the Motorola contract, so I can come very prepared on that day next week. Just anything you need to send me.
Okay.
If there is anything you need to send me before time, just please do so.
I'll send you the PDF copy. It's in the pack. It's in the agenda packet as well, but I'll just send you the PDF for it.
So I don't need to look at that old lease document at all, right?
No,
Okay.
this one will basically supersede that because it's a purchase, basically a purchase contract.
And you're going to make a few inquiries about the funding, the release of the funding. Okay.
Yeah. Main thing I need to do is try and get in touch with DOJ and find out what it looks like when they'll release those funds.
Sounds good.
And if they can't tell me, I mean, we've seen this before with state funds when they finally release dollars. If they can't tell me, then we'll have to look at option 2 potentially of dipping into those funds that we appropriated for this purpose and then backfilling them or reimbursing them when we do get the funds. So I got an email from Commissioner-elect Frank. Said that he tried to unmute, but he couldn't get it to unmute. Rob, I'm not sure. Well, there it looks like you're unmuted now.
Yeah, I wanted to say thanks for giving me the opportunity to say something. I could not unmute it for the life of me, and it turns out I failed to acknowledge that the meeting's being recorded, so it wouldn't let my buttons work. But I didn't have anything to add, but thank you for asking if I did.
You bet, no problem. I don't have anything else.
Me neither.
So if there is nothing else, we shall...
No, I have something after this.
Okay. Being no further business, Harney County Court shall stand adjourned. Thank you.